Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'm gonna be talking about my personal top 5 picks for tech champions in the game currently right now. So best 5 tech champions in the game. And it is worth mentioning that I do think tech is probably the second weakest class in the game right about now, which is quite unfortunate. However, they still have some absolutely amazing champions. So let's start with Ghost. So Ghost is obviously in spot number 1 just because she's insane. I don't think there's anybody who's going to doubt that Ghost is currently the best tech champion in the game, and rightfully so. She's also probably the most popular champion in the game currently just because how well it feels to play with Ghost. It's so fun, it's so easy, it's so quick, and her damage output combined with her utilities is just absolutely crazy. Her ability to convert any damage over time debuffs into furies is crazy. Her synergy with Wasp with Hood make her an insane powerhouse, able to tank special 3s, avoid recoil damage. Her ability to phase through opponents' attacks, let her evade special attacks that shouldn't be able to evade. On top of that, you can be gaining power and you can be spamming your special attacks, and it's just really kind of crazy, fun, aggressive time overall. And I absolutely love Ghost. I absolutely love playing Ghost. Ghost is probably one of the more satisfying champions in the game for me personally to play with, just because it feels so kind of like crazy and fast and I don't know, cool. There is something about that phasing ability and your ability to punish opponents' attacks like mid combo there. It's just awesome. But yeah, Ghost definitely best tech champion in class without a doubt. My pick for number 2 spot is Stark Spider-Man. Now first we're gonna go some positives. So Stark Spider-Man also has insane damage output, great damage potential, good amount of utility with his ability to auto-evade special attacks, so that's kind of like similar to Ghost. Sparky has a power drain on his heavy attack, which is also becoming like more and more helpful, I think, in the content. Also, taunt mechanic. Taunt I think is a beautiful mechanic, and I do like majority of champions in the game that can access it and can use it, just because it lets you keep the fight so much more aggressive and AI seems to work with you a lot smoother. But there are things. Well, first of all, Sparky has fallen off his grace as best tech champion in game because of the Ghost. Because Ghost does pretty much everything he does, but better, kind of. But that being said, there are a few more things that I definitely do not like about Stark Spider-Man, and those are the reasons why I don't use him overly too often, which is I don't like that you have to build up the poise charge at the beginning of every fight. I think it's asking for trouble and begging to get smacked in the face should you happen to make a small mistake, especially because you need to repeatedly do it before you even start doing the damage. So I definitely do not like that. Even more, I don't like it just because of Starky's low base health pool. Starky is the definition of glass cannon. Starky has one of the lowest base health pools in the game. I think he has like the second or third lowest HP in game. So yeah, he is really kind of squishy. And yeah, unlike Ghost, who's also squishy, he actually does kind of have to parry, and that does feel and that does add up. And obviously there is absolutely no immunities in Sparky of any kind of sort, and that kind of like pushes even more the fact that he's so squishy. But I digress. He still has great amount of things he can do. He's great AW attacker. He's extremely fun champion to play. There's good amount of utility. He will save you a lot of times in quests, and he also has like quite large fan following. It's not the champion for me, but I definitely recognize how good he is at dealing with many different areas in the contest. And then we're gonna move on to my personal pick for number 3 spot, which is Vision. Now Vision is extremely old champion that has withstood the test of the time just because of his power drain abilities rival no one. His passive power gain, and that's active at start of the fight, is insanely useful. He's pretty much the only champion in the fight that can immediately start the fight being able to power drain and heal block the opponent. He also has double immunities going for him, robotics, so he's just good base set of utilities, kind of like stable champion. He doesn't have the greatest damage output, but he well makes up for it, having every fight he's in being extremely well controlled. You're never pretty much stuck baiting specials from opponent. You can always maintain your aggression, push opponent in the corner, and basically dominate the fight and make sure the fight is going the way you want it to do. So whenever you play with Vision, it just feels extremely kind of safe, and you feel in control of the fight, even though the fight is like longer than it would be with, let's say, Sparky or Ghost. But yeah, Vision, definitely a great pick, becoming more and more useful with many kind of like different tricky nodes, just because he has super easy access to heal block, super easy access to power drain. His level 2 can power drain up to 3 bars of power, which is crazy. And especially with the release of newer champions like Havoc, he's one of the best Havoc counters in the game. He counters many tricky nodes, and he's like one of those really nice to have utility machines in your disposal, because he can go and bleed and poison nodes and deal with these tricky opponents and get the job done. He constantly gets used even at top tiers for a Alliance Wars just because of these reasons, and I think it would be a shame to rate him anything less than this. And for my number 4th and 5th spot, it's fairly close in between two robots, but I am first of all Team Sentinel. And now, initially, I will be absolutely honest, I ranked up Sentinel mainly for Prestige and Alliance for defense, and it was like great kind of combination of what I was looking for in champion. But ever since I had ranked him up, and the more I used Sentinel, the more and more useful he became in both variants, in Act 6, AQ quite often, occasionally Alliance Force, and he's just a great utility kind of machine. Now granted, there is an annoying bit of building analysis charges, which can be annoying, but you do not necessarily have to do it for like shorter fights, and it's really not all that difficult a thing to do in a longer fight. However, the things I absolutely love about Sentinel is A, his heavy attack, his ability to access damage over time simply guaranteed from his heavy attack, which isn't small damage because that shock is quite hefty. It is definitely useful, especially for the fights where you don't want to build your analysis charges, so you can just parry a heavy opponent there. His ability to access heal block and armor break on the level 1, that is really crazy because armor break is becoming more and more important, and heal block has always been extremely relevant, and just having it right off the bat at level 1 so quickly, so easily accessible, I think is extremely valuable. And that Incinerate on level 2 does a huge amount of damage, so you can kind of switch from his utility mode to his huge damage mode depending which specials you use. And once he gets to his $100 charge, he's just so tanky. It's like really bloody difficult to die with him if you have him properly ranked up, because yeah, he can take so much punishment, opponents will hardly be critting, and on top of that he's going to be dealing even more damage. So I definitely think Sentinel is extremely worthwhile utility machine that might not look the prettiest while using him. I am not a fan of it, but he always puts in solid work. That's why I want to recognize that and put him in the 4th place of my spot. And now the 5th one is going to be Darkhawk. Now Darkhawk I also think has an amazing set of utilities, can do some insane damage. He has incredible heal block on his level 3. However, with Darkhawk I think the problem is that his level 1 does nothing. His level 1 is essentially pretty much useless. You will never want to use it. You want to play the character only as if he has level 2 and level 3, which I think quite often is kind of like underwhelming, and you're just missing out so much by not having any utility on level 1. He doesn't change any of his modes with level 1, he doesn't have any special effects with his level 1, just nothing really there, and that is like unfortunate. Also the fact that Darkhawk, if you want to utilize him to utmost of his abilities, has to be really high signature level, unlike most of the champions on this list. I think that is a slight downside, definitely. So whenever you just make a decision to play Darkhawk, you need to invest in him fully. But yeah, if you have a Sig 200 Darkhawk, dude, he can do some amazing stuff, especially with like Night Thrasher synergy and you started the mode in already. His ability to heal off changing modes is crazy, so he can support suicides really well. And he can do insane damage with level 3, and that heal block on level 3 lasts a really long time. But again, Sentinel has shorter heal block, but it's on level 1, so you can access it quicker and you can keep refreshing it. Not to mention that Sentinel has pretty much built-in power reserve mechanic that's gonna let you keep a portion of your power when you use special attacks. Now Darkhawk is definitely a lot of good things going for him. Decreased opponent's defensive power gain, increased offensive power gain after level 2, increased damage in his level 3. There are good things in Darkhawk that I think are amazing. But yeah, I still think he's edged out by Sentinel. Now you might be thinking why I didn't include Starlord. Just because I do not think that in current date and time, in the current format, Starlord really fits in well anywhere. Because content has pretty much moved away from giving you stronger and stronger and higher PI opponents to giving you stronger and more difficult and more tricky kind of fights. Whereas Starlord would definitely make this list about a year or two ago, even if all of these champions were out at the time. Because having the damage was extremely important, especially when like Act 5 was launching out in 5.3. Starlord was like running through most of 5.3 extremely easily. But in 2019, when utilities are so much more important, I don't think Starlord can quite cut it anymore. He is still a great option for LoL. There are plenty of things Starlord can do. However, I do not think I would ever consider ranking him to rank 5 anymore, not with these champions available in today's game. Just because having those immunities, having those heal blocks, power gains, and armor breaks and all that is just so much more important than just having straight up ability to pump up your damage. And that's another problem with Starlord, because you do need to ramp up your combo before you start dishing out those good numbers. Majority of the champions in this list dish out better numbers from get-go, and then eventually Starlord might overtake them. However, I do not think it simply justifies doing that. I do love the champion. I have a lot of fond memories using Starlord. It's just unfortunately I don't think he fits well enough in today's game to be one of my top 5 tech champions. But yeah, that's gonna be about it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons, and I'm gonna see you guys shortly.